What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Ole of the Almighty Manifest. Thank you so much for being here today. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
So, this new album that you have coming out, The Sinking, coming out August 26th, which is the day after tomorrow. This is an absolute brutal beast of an album. For people who haven't heard the whole album yet, do you feel that the first singles that you released, Job Kill, Infant Rage, and LGAD, is a good representation of what the entirety of The Sinking will sound like, or is that just scratching the surface of what is to come?
I think it's more like scratching the surface. The album has lots of different songs, from very the mellow songs, and also like more brutal songs like the Infant Rage and Job Kill. Um, so it's a very varied album, with lots of different elements. But of course, we are like mainly a thrash metal band. That's what we started out with. So the track "Job Kill" represent more of this, early thrash metal days from us. But I think it's a lot of different variations on the album, and like the song "Infant Rage," it has elements from lots of different music.
hmm Well, was there like a preconceived idea, kind of going back to that thrash element that you're definitely demonstrating on this album? Was there sort of like a preconceived idea of what you wanted the sinking to be like in terms of its theme or its overall sound, or was there maybe a lot of improvising or experimentation involved in the songwriting process?
It was more like improvising stuff. We didn't start out with a plan, so we just we like to have no as few limits for ourselves as possible, and then just start out and see where the ideas that we have takes us.
hmm
So we're very open-minded when it comes to the songwriting.
Yeah, and with the guitar work that's incorporated in there, because from the riffs to the solos and the aggression on there, being the guitarist, did you like does it always start off with guitar? Because I've interviewed a lot of bands that have that sort of death thrash sound to it, and 90% of the time it's always starting off with guitar. Is that the case for here as well?
For the songs that I write, uh, I start out with the guitars, of course, but everyone in the band contributes with their ideas, and the drummer Alessandro and our bass player Johnny, they write some songs together with the drums and bass in the rehearsal space. So we write in a lot of different ways, but mainly we write the songs, together as a band with all four of us. But we produce ideas, both the vocalist and the bass player and drummer and myself. We always bring in lots of ideas, but for the stuff that I write, the guitars naturally comes first.
Hmm. Oh, excuse the construction in the background, but
Uh,
yeah,
oh, that's no problem.
yeah, but it's funny you mentioned that too. When with all the members who contribute to the songwriting, if people were to maybe get to know all of the members of Manifest, would they maybe be able to pinpoint on who wrote who based on a specific sound or style in a way?
I'm not sure. Maybe that's the songs where I contribute the most. They will maybe know that this is something that I wrote because they can recognize the riffs or the arrangements or whatever. But uh, all of a sudden, our vocalist contributes with more of a punk song, and it surprises us also.
I I've
So yeah.
I've noticed that there was some punk incorporated in here. That's why I was gonna ask. Like, I know it's like a rather cliche question to ask who your influences are, but it almost seems like it's a smorgasbord of heaviness in terms of its thrash elements, its death elements, and its punk aspects as well. Does every member in the band have kind of like a different inspiration for the that led to this style of music?
I think so. Yes. Basically, we all in the band we listen to all different kinds of music. I am the member in this band that maybe listen to the the most metal stuff. We all like metal, of course, but our drummer, he's like a prog fan. He likes 70s prog. Our singer, he listens to everything from Frank Sinatra to Cannibal Corpse, and we all do. And our bass player is maybe like more heavy metal oriented guy. Yeah.
Well, having a member who's a prog fan, I already know that any song on this album that exceeds 3 minutes or exceeds 5 minutes is written by the prog fan. I know that.
He's not holding back any on the length of the songs, at least. But we really don't have any limitations, any of us, when it comes to style of music or length of the songs. Or we're try to be very open-minded and bring in all kinds of elements.
Yeah. Well, when you mentioned the thrash influence, actually, when I first heard the sinking, one album that I immediately came to my mind that I compared it to was Sepultura's "Beneath the Remains." It also reminded me of the Swedish death metal band Your Neighbors, the band Lick. Their member just joined Bloodbath. So it kind of has that sort of vibe behind it. But being a thrash metal fan, because I've always thought that thrash does have different sounds in it. Like Metallica sounds very different from Slayer, which sounds very different from Sepultura, which sounds different from Creator. I was wondering, as a thrash metal fan, is there a specific element that you think all thrash metal has to have?
I think that's probably I wouldn't call a band a thrash band if they don't have any guitar riffs. So you'll have to have some aggressive guitar riffs if you want to call yourself a thrash band. And that's and some, of course, the thrash drumming. You'll have to have elements of this in some sort if you want to call yourself a thrash band, I think, at least to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen like a lot of bands. Like, I mean, I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, but like Disturbed has very heavy guitar sounds and very heavy drum patterns, but I would never call them thrash metal either. So I was always wondering by that.
Yeah, I don't know very much about this band, Disturbed, but I probably heard a few songs. But from my recollection, it's not a thrash band.
Yeah, not at all, not even close. Yeah. But when it comes to the songwriting of Manifest, is it easier to sort of come up with ideas when you're more alone in isolation, being such a great fuel for creativity, or being that all of you are songwriters, it's easier to maybe come up with song ideas when you're all in the company of each other?
I think both, actually. My stuff, when I write guitar riffs and parts and come up with specific song ideas, I write a lot of it alone at home. But when we are putting the songs together, and we do that as a band, we try to focus on writing the songs together as a band when all four members are present, because that's what works the best, and then you have a lot of spontaneous ideas that the dynamics of the four of us can produce together, So writing alone is okay, but mainly for producing like ideas and ideas for arrangements or stuff like that. But the songs we write mainly together as a band, because when we are in the rehearsal room, with the amps and the drums and the and our backline, you get a different energy than when you're writing for yourself at home. So the combination works the best for us. We tried a little bit of recording, sending, sound files between us online. But so far, that hasn't worked so good.
Do you have a theoretical element behind your guitar playing that you apply as well? Are you thinking about scale or form or anything like that, or are you completely on the self-taught side?
Um, Mainly self-taught, but I have some knowledge about some scales that I bring to the table for some songs. But I try to keep an open mind and not be, bordered in by scales or rules or such things.
Yeah, yeah, I'd imagine breaking rules is part of just what Manifest is all about, right?
Yeah, sure. So try to keep an open mind there as well. I know certain scales, like a handful of scales that I can choose from if I want to, bring a certain effect in the music. So I can use some scales and stuff, but I try to keep an open mind about what sounds the best and not being like bordered in by a scale. But of course, some scales can be very effectful. The combinations of tones and stuff. So a little bit of both, but I would say like 90% with no scales.
Being that you all predominantly like to write the music together, does that make songwriting and playing live together somewhat similar in a way? Because it's all both a very collaborative effort, or do you consider playing, writing the music and playing it live completely separate arts?
Uh, we we can easily put on like a good live show because we have been rehearsing so much together, and when we write the songs together, it's easier for us to play them live. We played one show now in March here in Norway, and then we hadn't rehearsed anything since we recorded the album, and that was like 5 months earlier. And then we had one rehearsal, and we went on and played a great show. So I think we can draw a lot of benefit from writing the songs together and being like well rehearsed
Yeah,
as a band.
absolutely. So I'd imagine that you don't want to rehearse too much because the music is so raw. You kind of like to let every song sort of capture a moment, right?
Yeah, uh, that's pretty much the idea.
In terms of like the world of metal now, because metal has grown so much and there's been so many different genres and so many different great albums, is there any current bands like within the realm of thrash or death metal that you definitely are either taking inspiration from or that you just find really astonishing now?
Um, like I'm not so interested. I'm not interested. I don't follow a lot of new bands, but a lot of the older bands that put out new material, I follow definitely, like Meshuggah, and recently I bought a couple of the new At the Gates albums, which I think is great. So. But I haven't discovered so many new metal bands that like put out new albums now that I discovered.
Would you say that the Norwegian scene though is just as because I mean Scandinavia is known, whether it be Sweden or Finland, to have a great heavy metal scene, and obviously Norway with the history of the black metal movement. Would you say that the scene in Norway is just as much thriving now as it was earlier in the times? I just saw footage of the Beyond the Gates festival, and that looked incredible.
I would say so, definitely. There's a lot of good bands in Norway in the metal scene. Both new bands and older bands that have been putting out material for years. Um, like a band from south in Norway called Blood Red Throne. They're a death metal band. They have been putting out like 10 albums and they're still going strong. And they also have new bands like Sibir. That's a band from Oslo in Norway. They're relatively new. I think they have released their debut album like, a couple of years ago. Um, and also some thrash metal bands in Oslo. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Norwegian metal scene, definitely. So I don't think it has slowed down in any sense. I don't think so. I think it's alive and well.
Would it be easier to start a band in Norway or Sweden or Finland just because of the popularity of the music out there?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I haven't started a new band in many years. We started up like 20 years ago, and I have no idea how would we like to start a new band now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for a great chat. I can't wait for the rest of the metal community to hear the sinking. Is there just anything else with Manifest that you would like to promote? Is there a chance maybe you could bring Manifest to the U.S. one day?
I would love to bring Manifest to the US, of course, but I would. I hope people like the record and that they have an open mind to metal bands that put out some an album that's not like streamlined, but experiments with lots of different ideas. So uh, I hope our fans like the album, and I hope we can draw some new fans also. So and definitely to come to the US would be great.
Yeah, and this is a smorgasbord of brutality. So a lot of if you are a metal fan, you will love this. That's the if you are a metal fan, if you are a metal fan, it is impossible for people not to like the sinking. So
Oh, great!
yeah,
Thanks.
but thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Manifest. Be sure to check out the sinking coming out August 26th. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.